the idea with the Shadow Assassin, the way that I kind of like to play this class is actively I like to try to present a threat with as little cards as possible. And the idea there is to try to draw power out of my opponent's hand because I am presenting something that they have to deal with. Their option is not do nothing, right? They need to do something. And the goal is to get them to overreach and do more than you are. And so one of the ways that I do that is a very simple single moment active play as a Shadow Assassin is you just start disengaged, plan Phantom's Kiss, and then plan a Bowie Knife as a combo on top of it. Realistically, what you're doing here is you're leveraging one card, a single Phantom's Kiss. There's 3 of them in your deck. You end up doing this usually 2 to 3 times a game, but it's a great threat. It's one that's coming from safety. You're at ranged. Your opponent would have to expend some sort of resource to get them to move in. You're also guaranteeing yourself a 6/6, 2 sets of dice, right? Which is a very solid attack. It's a solid threat. It's something that your opponent needs to deal with. It's coming in from range. They have to expend some form of either attack or block, right, in order to avoid it. They can't simply just back up or disengage to avoid it. And the fact that it's 2 dice and a base 6 power, the odds of them being able to use a single card to mitigate this is low. Another active play I like to use, along the same strategy, right, of trying to get cards out of my opponent's hand, is I will start engaged actively, and I will do a Combat Reflexes moment 1, generating the Combat Reflexes token in moment 2, and then put my Ebon Cloak item in moment 3. Now, again, what I have done here is I have only spent a single card, okay? But I've created a scenario in which my opponent must respond. And the reason that they must respond is because I have a Bowie Knife sitting in my character zone. That Bowie Knife can come out as a replacement in any one of those 3 moments. So my opponent has to approach that knowing that there is a D6 worth of threat somewhere on the board. And so now they need to figure out how they are going to answer these 3 moments, assuming that any one of them could become a 0/0 attack, right? And so the trick here, the annoying part for my opponent, is that all 3 of the cards that I'm currently presenting in this play have a relatively high focus, and they are a block. So that makes it less likely for my opponent to want to attack. Normally you don't want to attack into something that has 5 focus or 3 focus because the odds of you just straight up missing and wasting the potential of that attack are decently high, right? And so the opponent is in a position where like they don't really want to attack, and so they might want to block, but blocks are generally few and far between, and they're cards that you usually want to sit on until your opponent puts out something really dangerous that you really want to get out of the way of, like an Area Tarka or a Slice 'em Up or something else that the assassin has in their deck that is much more threatening than just a 0/0 dagger. But they can't do nothing, right? And so this wide play creates a scenario where the opponent really just needs to make a decision, and more often than not it's a bad decision, and they end up wasting resources. And for me, the assassin player, this is great because if they plan out something, I don't even have to put my dagger somewhere. I can just say, yeah, okay, pass. And so this is another great option for the Shadow Assassin to actively try to pull cards out of their opponent's hand so that the late game becomes a much greater threat.